Good morning. There has been a lot of things going on in America, and for some reason, 2020 seems to have set it all off. I actually did a video last week, and it was about the Ahmaud Arbery case, and I deleted it. I said, nah, I'm not going to say anything. And then I thought I might make a video and say something about the George Floyd execution. Then I said, no, enough is being said. Well, maybe not enough, but a lot is already being said about that. The big elephant in the room, in everybody's room, is racism. And time again, it is seemingly put upon Black people in America to define it or find the solution to resolve it. That's not our responsibility. So what I wanted to do today was maybe if I could make it more personal on a small scale, small doses. You know, when you have to give yourself medication or give your children medication, the prescription doesn't say go home and take the whole bottle all at once. That's counterproductive. You have to give yourself small doses, 1 tablet, 2 tablets every so many hours. And so here is my attempt to provide you with 1 or 2 tablets on a personal level with someone you actually know, not a television pundit, not a politician, not an anchor man, not someone that you might possibly struggle to relate with because they're not in your actual everyday life. I'm just a regular somebody. I am a person who was a little Black girl, born in Georgia, raised in Montgomery, Alabama. In 1968, I integrated a school all by myself, Dalraida Elementary School. I was the first and only Black child at Dalraida School my first grade year, 1968. Yeah, 1968, when a whole lot of things were going wrong in our world. My parents trusted me, trusted the school with me. I won't talk a lot about that. I was bused from a little small township in Montgomery County to a high school I rarely say the name of. Yeah, I'm a little Black girl that went to Robert E. Lee High School. Where else in the world do they name schools and have monuments for the side that lost? Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot of pride in that, and it's going to offend some people, and I really don't care. So what I want to do is talk to you about personal experiences I have had that I know some of my peers have had. See, when you're Black and you are educated and you present yourself with a level of calmness, you get told things like, oh, you're not like the others. Yeah, I've been told that. When I was young, I just listened and walked away. As I got older, I would question, other what? I'm not like the other what? When we bought the property that I now live on, the actual guy who sold the property to my husband, World War II veteran, little old white guy, he had to come to our house and meet my husband's whole family before he would sell us this property because he wanted to make sure we were okay. And the fact that my son was classically trained on the piano, and he saw the piano and he wanted to know who played. And so my son played, and the man himself was a musician, and he wanted to hear my son play. And I guess we probably could thank my son for this property that we have, because we might not have gotten it had he not been classically trained and could actually read music and play the piano. And then he went on to say that I reminded him of the woman that took care of his mother until she died. That was 2005. Anyway, this same property, we had tagged the trees to be removed before we started construction. We were actually renting a house a few doors down in this same neighborhood. And one of the neighbors had the audacity to come over while we were tagging trees, and she wanted to know, what were we doing? Why is it your business? And she was irate that we were going to have the trees removed because, as she said, if I knew that this property was going to be sold, and if I knew that you were going to cut these trees down, I never would have brought this property. Yeah, that's privilege, white privilege, that you feel you could come over here and talk to people you don't know about a situation that's not your business. But it got so sweet to us at the end. You see, my husband was an officer in the Army. He's retired. Her husband pulled up in his truck, and he actually knew who my husband was. And he got out, and something was said, and he called my husband sir. That woman turned boiling lobster red. She could not believe that her husband called that black man sir. Girl, bye, sit down. Yeah. We've experienced so many microaggressions and macroaggressions, from being asked if you could touch my hair. Or telling me that my hair was long enough. Yeah, I had a coworker once when I was wearing an afro, and older white woman. Someone in the office acknowledged my hair and said it was pretty, and she said, well, I think it's big enough. Well, that was 40-something-year-old Larcel, not 20-something. So, of course, I had to turn around and challenge her and ask her, what do you mean it's big enough? That's what she said, it was big enough. She had no definition. So she started mumbling some stuff about the 70s, and I knew what she meant. She was referring to the afros in the 70s, when what white America called militant blacks had big afros. I knew what she meant, but I made her stumble on every one of those words. I did. I wasn't ugly. I just, matter of fact, asked her, what do you mean? How big is big enough? She had no definition. You see, you have lots of friends. I have lots of friends who are born black in America, who bite their lips just like I did for years, who bite their inner jaws because of things that are being said. So my point is not to scold or be irate. It is to educate. Be careful what you say. Think about it. And I guess that's hard for you to see why you should have to think about what you say before you say it. But trust and believe, almost every black person in America that you know, we have to stop and think about what we say before we say it. We do. I worked at a place, and we would have these unit meetings, and I would make suggestions about things our unit could do. And everybody on the team, black, white, oh, Laura said, it's a great idea. My supervisor, who was so threatened by me because I was one of the few people in our department that had an actual degree in social work, and she did not. She hated every idea I had. So I vowed I would never make another idea, never make another suggestion. I would never speak at another unit meeting. And a white coworker came to me and she said, well, Laura, let me make your suggestions. She knew what was going on. And I allowed her to make a few of my suggestions. And every one of them, guess what? The supervisor thought they were just the bee's knees. They were the greatest suggestions. Some of them were suggestions I had made in the past. But she just wasn't going to let me be great. So I had to learn that if my greatness went forward, I had to have another vessel to do it. And I made peace with that at that time. I would never do it again. I would never give anybody my intellect to pass on as their own just so it could go forward. I would never do it again. But I'm 57, almost 58, so I see things a whole lot differently. So I'm going to end right here. What I'm going to say, I don't condone the rioting and the violence in the street. And my heart of hearts wishes that it would stop. But I understand it. I understand it. I don't like it. But I understand it. You can only poke the bear so long before the bear pokes back. And while people are concerned about buildings and businesses and livelihoods and jobs going to be lost because buildings are burned and destroyed, that is tragic. It is. But you know what? Not one of those buildings, not one of those paychecks, not one of those jobs is worth the hundreds of thousands of lives lost through the Middle Passage, through Jim Crow, the Civil Rights Movement, all the way up until last week when George Floyd was murdered. All of the countless black bodies at the bottom of the Alabama and Mississippi rivers that we'll never know their stories because perhaps their families were too afraid to speak out about their missing husband, brother, son, for fear that if they said their person was missing, something would happen to them. We have endured a lot. And basically, I'm just going to say, may the chips fall where they may. I hope the young people can stop destruction and get together and learn to plan and organize and take action. And I'm going to leave you with something that Killer Mike said last night. And that I think, I can't think who else may have said it. But anyway, fill out your census, be counted, register to vote, handle your business that way. Let's come together and remove the politicians who aren't for us and put in politicians who are. I hope that what I've said has helped someone to understand. You may not know that the action or the word you said was racist because in your heart you don't believe that you are a racist. And that's fine. But what I'm going to ask today of all of my white friends, classmates, former co-workers, I don't need for you to tell me you're not a racist. I need for you to be anti-racist. What does that mean? Don't just say, well, I'm not racist. That's not good enough. Because believe it or not, you more than likely have said or done a microaggression and not realized it. And I'm sure you've done to me and I just didn't call you out on it because I know malice was not in your heart. It means when your friend, your husband, your son, your daughter, your neighbor, your pastor, your uncle, aunt, mom, dad, tell a racist joke or make a comment that's incorrect. Correct them. Correct them. It's okay if you do. Because change begins with us as individuals. We can only change ourselves, but we can make suggestions to others. So y'all be blessed and have a great day. I love you. Keep hope alive.